Welcome and good morning to our new and useful products in the Sharper Vision Store webinar. This comes to you from the Wisconsin Council of the Blind and Visually Impaired. The mission of the Wisconsin Council of the Blind and Visually Impaired is to promote the dignity and empowerment of the people of Wisconsin who live with vision loss through advocacy, education, and vision services. We were founded in 1952 and are governed by people who are blind or visually impaired. Leading the webinar today is Greg Schmidt, our new customer care specialist. Throughout the video, you will be hearing from about 9 of our colleagues who participated in creating the video.
Hello, Wisconsin Council of the Blind and Visually Impaired. This is Kathleen. How may I help you? Oh, that's a great question. I know just the person who can answer that. Let me give this to him and see what he can find out for us.
What do we have here? Looks like another question. With family gatherings coming up, I'm looking forward to spending time with my grandparents. We've always had fun playing cards and board games, but my grandmother has very limited vision. What games can someone who is blind or visually impaired play? That's a great question. Follow me and we'll take a look. We've expanded our game section, but we still carry our very popular playing cards. Here you'll notice our bold print playing cards. Easy to see the number and the suit. Here we have another popular deck, which is great with great bold numbers. The issue that can happen with these is that it can be problematic to see the suit along with the number while holding a large pile of cards while they're fanned out. Last, you'll see our Braille cards with Braille indications up in the corner stating which suit and number you have. We carry large print, crossword puzzles, word search, and Sudoku. Sample of that large print. Here we'll have our high contrast bingo cards, our popular Braille bingo cards, and our plain just darn big bingo cards. We've expanded all of our games. You'll see we have the Retro Classic Game of Simon, a magnetic tactile game of checkers, a tactile game of chess, raised dot dominoes, Connect 4, tactile tic-tac-toe, and a mobile tactile Othello game. 3 of them will be showcased next.
Hi everyone, today we're going to be discussing the card game Uno, which is a fun family game that can be played for most ages, anywhere from 3, 4, 5 and up, as long as they know their numbers and colors. The object of the game is to discard all 7 cards that you receive. To start, there's going to be a card that's on a discard pile. Right now it's a yellow 5. So in order to play a card, you either need to have the same color that's already been played, which would be yellow, or the same number, which would be 5. If you do not have either that number or color, you might have one of these cards, which are considered wild cards, which will account for any color. So I could lay a wild card down and say this is a green card, and then from then on it would change to green. The next person would have to play green. Along with the wild card, there's another one that's called Wild Card Draw 4. So I can change the color, and the person that follows me has to draw 4 cards. And there's a new card in the new Uno game here that's called a Swap Hands Wild Card. With that card, you can decide if you want to swap hands with somebody. So if I have, let's say, 7 cards still in my hand and somebody's down to 2, I can swap hands and I'd be down to 2 cards already. There's a few other specialty cards in Uno, and then there's also a color draw 2 card, so the person that follows you would have to draw 2. If you don't have the color, the number, or a wild card in your hand, then you would have to draw from the pile. The nice thing about this Uno card game as well is that all these cards are brailled. The colors should be bold enough if you do still have color vision to see it, and the numbers are in large print. My cards I have placed here in one of the card holders that we have, which is nice, so that you don't have to hold all those cards in your hand while you're trying to see them or read the braille. I'm also using one of our handy bright lights that's portable. This particular light runs on a rechargeable battery, so that you can take it with you if you're going to somewhere else to play the card game. And with this light, you can kind of get it right down on your cards to help see them. So we're going to get started with our game here. Judith, if you'd like to kick us off, go ahead.
Okay. And so we have a 5 yellow, and I'm going to put down a draw 2 yellow for it.
Oh boy, so Judith isn't being nice here. So I have to draw 2. That was the card she laid. And the other thing that I forgot to mention, when you're playing cards as a common courtesy for people that have vision loss, is to say out loud whatever card you're laying down so everybody knows.
5 yellow.
So I'm putting down an 8 yellow.
8 yellow. Okay. So I have a yellow skip that I'm going to play to skip Kathleen.
I don't have another yellow, so I have to draw one.
Yep. So Judith doesn't have a yellow or a skip or a wild, so she has to draw 1 card.
Okay. So nothing matches that.
Okay. And I don't have a yellow or a skip either, but what I do have is a wild card. I'm going to lay that down, and I'm going to make the color blue.
All right, so I will play blue 4.
Okay. And I am going to play a blue 1.
Okay. And I'm going to play a blue 2.
Blue 3.
And blue 5.
And a blue 8.
Draw. All right, Judith, I drew, so your turn.
I'm doing a blue 1.
Okay. And I have a blue 2.
Put down a green 2.
Okay, and I put down a 9 green.
And I'm going to put down a green draw 2.
Take 2.
So it's a green draw 2 to you, Judith.
Okay, I'm doing a green 2.
And one of the more important rules that I forgot to disclose is that when you get down to 1 card, you have to yell out Uno.
Uno!
Oh, there we go. And if you fail to do so and somebody catches you and says Uno first, you have to draw 2 cards. So Judith got it in time there. So we have a green 2 out there. And I don't have a green or a 2, so I'm going to play my specialty Swap Hands card. And I'm going to trade with Judith since she only has 1 card.
You can choose the person?
Yeah, and I only have 2 cards. Now I'll say Uno, just in case. So now it's Kathleen's turn, and I'm going to make it red.
Make it red. All right, well, play a red 0.
Uno!
Uno!
Oh, all right. We'll give it a tie to you.
All right, well, and I don't have a red or a reverse, so I'm going to have to draw.
All right, and I'll discard my red and I'm out.
There you go.
Game's over.
Our next game that we're going to demonstrate is a newer game that we've added. This is Othello. It is a game for 2 people. It's a classic strategy game, as they say, that takes minutes to learn but a lifetime to master. The object of the game is to get the most of your pegs, most of the pegs on the board as being yours. There are 2 different types of pegs. There is a smooth topped peg, and then there is a peg that has a little bit of a nub to the top. So that's making this a tactile version of the game that, for those who might be familiar with it, there are 8 rows of 8 holes. And then also on this board, there is an extra row where you can put extra pieces out. Each player takes turns, and you flip or switch the pegs by placing another peg on the other side, either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally, similar to Connect 4. And then that's what's called a flank. And then if you have your opponent's pegs surrounded on both ends, you then flip those to be your, or switch them out in this case to be your type peg. So we'll play a little bit of a game here to demonstrate. So Judith, you can go first.
Right, and I am going to put it diagonally. Can I do that?
So you need to have a piece that's on both sides
In
of
order to
one of my
take
smooth. Right. So
In order to take both of them.
well, to take one, yeah. If you wanted to take both, you would need to have this one, but you'd already
Okay.
need to have one
I'm gonna
already
put that
there.
one there.
So right now, if
And I'm
you put
gonna
one,
do
yes, exactly.
that.
Yes, because it's on both sides.
Mhm.
So then, for me, I'm going to be able to do a diagonal. So I'm putting my piece right here. I'll leave my finger on it so you can feel. So that's where my piece is,
Okay. Mhm.
which means then the one, your piece that's in the middle between ours, I can flip over to become a smooth.
Okay, let me see where we are. Oh, okay, that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Now Judith, you're doing good because you're heading out towards the edges. 'Cause
Yes,
if you-
that's what I'm trying to do.
If you go to the
kinda.
ends, that way someone can't flip it, so that's a great.
Okay, I'm gonna put one here and I'm gonna flip this one.
Excellent. All right. And I am gonna put one here, and then I'll be able to flip 2. So this is where the one I just placed, my finger there.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna get to flip 2 that are in between mine. All right. And your turn.
Okay. Let's see. Gosh darn it, how come I don't have one over there? Uh, You got me blocked too much, Kathleen. Well, I'm just gonna put one here, or we'll never get done. Okay,
This is only your second game, so you're doing very well. I will say that for sure. All right. So I'm looking, I can do this one, I can get to the end. So if I
We're gonna
put a
get to
piece
the
right
end
there,
again? Okay.
I could do that, but I'm looking at all of my options.
okay,
Because then I come over here and I see that if I place one over here, I could turn 2 of yours. So I'm trying to decide between amount or blocking, and I think I'm gonna go with a little bit more greedy. So I'm gonna put my
You're
piece
gonna
right
take
here.
2 of mine?
I'm gonna take
Okay.
2 of yours. And I flip those 2, and this is where my piece was. One of the things you can do to help remember myself where I put my piece is keeping my finger actually on the peg that I
See where you
place.
are.
And then I can keep track so I know where to flip, and then
Mm-hmm.
my opponent can also see where I've, or feel where I've placed
Mm-hmm.
my pegs.
take these two.
Let's see.
Is that
If
diagonal?
you do, yes, yeah, that's great. It's a great diagonal move.
Okay.
All right, so that's just a little bit. Keep practicing and learning, and you get better and better as you go along.
For those of you that are fans of retro gaming, we now carry the game of Simon. It has 4 brightly colored buttons that illuminate with a bright light. Each button has a different sound, and you follow the rhythmic pattern that Simon gives you. The first one that gets that pattern wrong is eliminated, and the one that's still standing is declared the winner. Heather over here has decided to help us out by playing a game. So let's start the game of Simon. Well, looks like you won, Heather. Congratulations. So Heather, do you have any other helpful tips that you can give our clients?
I would suggest like placing the Simon, in front of you at a good distance where you can see it, and also if you wanted to use different touch dots for the buttons, and those can be in different shapes and different sizes as well.
And for those of you on the go, we have a micro version of Simon. Great for individual players or to bring to parties. Hot dog, it's more question day. I get so frustrated every time that I have to charge my portable video magnifier. At least once a day, I struggle with getting the adapter into the slot. I'm afraid that one of these days, I'm going to bend or twist something off in that channel. Do you have any suggestions? You bet I do. Follow me. In the store, we have 3 different types of charging cables. Type C, Lightning, and Micro. All of which are on a 3-foot cord, one end being a traditional USB cord, the other one would be a magnetic port that you would connect into the device that you wish to charge. This is a demonstration. This would be the piece that would go into the port. This would be the cord that you would connect to charge it. And just like that, it would connect. Now let's check in with Greg real quick. Come on. There's got to be a better way.
Note the extra movements of the client's hands. This makes it difficult to insert the charging cable into the smartphone. A magnetic connector was inserted into the smartphone's port. Using the charging cable with a magnetic end, it is a quick snap to attach the cable for charging. The client is trying to charge an LED task lamp. The charging port is hard to see and is located in a recessed area. The client finds the port with her left thumb and brings the charging cable toward it. Then she questions if the connector is upside down and flips it over. No success, even when trying 2 good strategies. A magnetic insert was added to the charging port. The charging cable has a magnetic end. The client immediately snaps the cable to the port. A connection is made and the task lamp gets charged.
Parece que es hora de otra pregunta.
La tienda del consejo vende dos relojes que hablan español. Ese tiene un llavero y él puede sonar a cada hora en la hora y usted puede activar una alarma para despertarse por la mañana.
Alarma activada, 12 de la madrugada.
Ese es un reloj de pulsera Hay también 3 productos relacionados con la salud que hablan español. Ese termómetro, por ejemplo,
La temperatura es 97.4 grados Fahrenheit.
hay también otro termómetro y un manguito de presión arterial. Y la tienda vende también una báscula.
What do you know? It's time for another question. I used to sew and quilt for my grandnieces and nephews. I have macular degeneration. Is there any way that I can keep sewing, even though I can't see as well as I used to? That's a great question. Let's check in with Jean.
So we often get questions about how to thread needles for sewing. And so I'm going to show you how to thread hand sewing needles. And I'm going to show 3 different things. One, we carry a needle which is called the Easy Threading Needle. And this is a regular needle. It has a V at the top, and you put the thread into the V and pull it down into the eye. I'm also going to show you the Infilia needle threader, where you can use any of your needles that you already have. And then the other thing is this little fish-looking thing that is called the green needle threader. So let me start with the easy threading needle. With this, you can hold the needle and do this, but I think it's often easier if you stabilize the needle somehow. So I'm using here just a sponge. You can also use a bar of soap or just some piece of foam that you might have gotten in a package. Anything will work that will help stabilize that needle while you do this. So when I do this, I like to do it with 2 hands rather than with 1. And you just put it on the top, find the V, and pop it down. The needle is threaded. The hardest part about that one is finding that V. Now I'm going to show you this Infilia needle threader. And with this one, I'm just using a standard needle. This has 2 chimneys in it. The white side chimney is for regular sewing needles that you would use like sew on a button. The black capped chimney is for bigger needles like a darning needle. Unfortunately, you cannot use this with a sewing machine needle because the eye of a sewing machine needle is in a different position. So what you do is you take your needle and you put it into the chimney eye side down. And then you take your thread and you just lay it into that little groove. And then you're going to push the button that goes with the color of your chimney to make sure the thread is flat in there. And this is pushing a metal bar through the eye of the needle. and push it through. And this time it caught the eye of the needle. It pushed the thread through, and the thread has come out the other side, and there's a little loop of thread there. So you just pull on that little loop of thread, and then pull your needle up, break your thread, and the needle was threaded. The third needle threader we have is this green needle threader that looks like a little fish. And you probably can't see on camera that sticking out looks like a little bitty tiny metal crochet hook. This is another one where I'm going to use this stabilizer here so that I can use two hands to do this. I caught the needle eye. And so what I'm going to do now is just take the thread, and then I lay the thread over the top of this thing. I'm holding the thread down, and I'm pulling it out. So the needle, again, has been threaded. With any of these three products, the Easy Threading Needle, the Infilia Needle Threader, or this green needle threader, you can thread a needle that you can do hand sewing with. We get lots of questions about how you can thread a sewing machine needle. And we carry sewing machine needles in size 12 and 14 that have an S channel in them, which means that there's a little S cut into the metal, and you just have to slide the thread into that S channel. Another thing that's helpful with the sewing machine is to add a magnifying light. And so this is just one example. This is just a 3-power magnifier, but it comes in 3 values of brightness, and so that's its brightest level. I'm going to move the magnifier away while I show this, just so that you might be able to see the needle. So on the needle, I run my nail down the 2 sides of it to find which side of it has a little notch-like feeling. And then for me, the way this went into my machine, the notch is on the right-hand side. This will vary by machine in terms of how your needle goes into the machine. And what I want to do is create a loop that I'm going to slide down the side of that machine. It went into the S channel, and the needle is now threaded. These needles, as I said, we have them in 12 and 14. They're for medium weight fabric. What I have found with these is that they work well if you stay with medium weight fabric. If you go with heavier weight fabric, it will back itself out as it goes through the fabric. The other thing that I've added to my machine is a seam guide. So this is just a piece of blue painter's tape, and I just extended the sewing line further down onto the machine. So it makes it easier for me to start feeding fabric in at a much earlier state. I don't have to wait till it's up against the pressure foot. You can also get magnetic attachments like that. My machine does happen to be metal. A lot of the machines now are plastic topped. They do make some that just stick on. The tape can be used over and over again.
Oh my, looks like it's time for another question. My grandmother fished in the Madison Lakes in the 40s and 50s. I stopped fishing when I started losing my sight. What kinds of adaptations might help me get back into fishing? That's a great question. Let's check in with Jean.
I'm going to show you how to knot a fishing line. And what I'm going to use is a device called the knotter. Looks like this. And the knotter is a red barrel that's positioned over a post. The other device that I'm going to show you is called the Big Eye needle. And the Big Eye needle is one of those needles that can be
opened up and spread apart. And then I'm also using a little pendant magnifier, which has a light. And this is just a 3-power magnifier. I'm going to use a lure that has had the hook cut off. So when you're first learning this, just a tip, it's good to cut the hook off, because on a regular lure, you have the hook here, and that is going to keep getting jammed into your hand while you're practicing. So if you just take pliers and just snap the tip off. So in order to tie the knot, we have to get the thread through the eye of the lure to start with. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the fishing line through the spread eye needle. So this needle has 2 sides on it, and if you run your thumbnail down the side, you find that it splits the needle. It's always a little hard the first couple times, but once you've done it a few times, it's loosened up. And you can open that up fairly large. So I take the fishing line and I just run it down my thumbnail into the eye of that needle, let it go, and then the thread is in that big eye needle. I'm going to set the lure up on the fishing line container just so it's a little bit off the ground, because I need to get that needle through the eye. And I'm using this magnifier to do it. So I needed 2 hands for that part. And as with everything, when you're magnifying, you have to figure out where exactly to put that magnifier in order to get the needle through the eye. I got it through. I'm going to pull the thread through the eye, and now I'm going to pull the thread out of the big eye needle. Here we go. So now I have the lure on my thread. So now I'm going to use the knotter. To use the knotter, you need a loop. And if you can see the loop, you just put the knotter through that. If you have trouble seeing the loop, lay the thread out, put the knotter right next to the lure, and then pick up the 2 edges. And then the knotter is between those 2 threads. And then I just spin it around 4 or 5 times, like that. And what's happening here is that this top part is getting twisted. Okay? So once that begins to happen, I'm going to pull down the barrel, and I put the end of the fishing line in that part that was opened up. Let the barrel go back up. I pull the knotter out of that loop. And now I just have to pull down on the fishing line. And I've made a knot on the lure.
Oh my, it's late. Very late. Looks like we have time for just one more question. I'm a snowbird, and I fly from Wisconsin to Arizona each winter. I have a video magnifier in Wisconsin. Any ideas about what could be easily transported back and forth to Arizona? You bet I do. For those of you who travel a lot, or perhaps just don't have a lot of room on your desktop, I'd like to show you Merlin Mini, a new electronic video magnifier. Power source right over here. We'll turn that on. Let it warm up. And over here, it'll start us out with a minimum magnification. You can zoom in. Zoom back out. The nice thing is, there's a button over here that helps control the light source. So you can go from the more dimmer state to the brightest. Here we have a button that will help change the different tone. The reverse for individuals that the bright white can be a little too intense. A more intense black and white option, along with a various array of other color tones and options. The nice thing about the Merlin Mini is that it also has helpful line indicators. By holding this far right button down, it will help create a line on the screen to help you read along. You can rotate that line and move it up or back down. The line can be used in different positions. Or can be used to block out certain areas. It can be made bigger or smaller. It can also block out columns such as newspapers and magazine articles. The Merlin does have a menu button in the center. You'd hold down that magnification dial till the menu pops up. We have options to change and turn off the certain color or tones. The Merlin does have other options such as magnification, brightness, and other settings that you can set for yourself. The Merlin Mini does have many different options as far as how to place the screen. One popular one can be used to keep it standing up, which will help give you full access underneath, utilize reading, or to help locate other items and tinker with them. One helpful example would be to use the Merlin Mini in the kitchen while baking or cooking. It's something that, while getting the ingredients, you can walk away and come back to with ease. The Merlin Mini can also be used, as indicated before, in a sitting position at eye level as well. So the Merlin Mini, while in the down position, can be used for personal grooming. It can also be used to check on those plants and how they're doing outside. As you've noticed, the Merlin Mini has been detached from any wiring. It is fully rechargeable. It lasts up to 5 hours. It weighs 10.5 pounds. It can be used nearly anywhere at any time. It can travel with you to any destination.
Welcome back. And we're going to go to questions. We had a few comments in the chat window. I'm going to introduce you to Greg.
Before we start, I just want to say how happy I am that our clients reached out to our staff to seek help for answers for everyone's questions, and that no matter what the problem is, we'll try our best to get to the bottom of it and let you know how we can assist with your inquiries. So we'll start out with some of the questions that we received ahead of time. We did receive a lot of questions regarding magnifiers and the calendars. We do have the 2022 calendars in stock. We have 2 weekly planners and 2 monthly planners, all printed in bold black and white print. Magnifiers, we have an assortment of hand magnifiers, stand magnifiers, and video magnifiers. We do suggest that if you are interested in any of those devices, please give us a call or stop in Walk-ins are always welcome. We do enjoy getting appointments ahead of time just so that we can have that more one-on-one interaction with individuals. Again, if there are any other questions pertaining to specific magnifiers or calendars, feel free to reach out and we can try to answer those inquiries. Another question that we received ahead of time was, does the council have the DotWatch 2 and is it available? Which is like a smartwatch similar to like an Apple Watch, receives 4-cell Braille display and can be paired with iPhones or Android phones. It's manufactured in a company from South Korea called the DotWatch 2. Unfortunately, we do not have that available in the store at the moment, but it definitely is something that we are interested in looking at and probably talking about with our vision service team and just see how to move forward with that device. I guess I'm moving along to the next question that we have was, what do you have in the store that will assist with using laptops, tablets, phones, etc.? As far as helpful aids for computers, we carry large print keyboards that can be put into a computer device through a USB port. We do also carry bold print stickers that can be placed on a pre-existing keyboard as well. As far as laptops and phones, that's about all we have at the moment for those devices. And then the next question, Jean, I'm going to probably hand off to you if that's all right.
Mhm.
Are there any work opportunities for the completely blind?
There are certainly work opportunities for the completely blind. The council does not provide that service. I highly encourage that person to contact their local DVR, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation office. They have offices throughout the state, and connect with those people to help get started on looking at types of work that's available. The other way that the council could assist is if this individual wanted to learn about access technology. So for example, if they needed to brush up on their computer skills and needed to learn how to use screen readers, our access technology specialist, Jim Denham, can provide that type of lesson. But your initial stop would need to be with DVR to get some help in sort of figuring out what's available in your community and get some help going forward in that way.
One of the last questions that we had, which is no surprise considering daylight savings time was just around the corner, was recommendations for talking watches and how to reset them. Recommendations, we have kind of a array of different talking watches. The most helpful for resetting them would be more of our atomic watches, which are linked to a satellite. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jean, around 1, 2 in the morning, 2 in the morning, that is when it does resync the time with that satellite. As far as resetting watches that you may have, I would suggest calling the store. I can help walk through kind of a tutorial of how to reset that watch to the correct time. But yeah, and then
I think one other comment about talking watches is that the atomic talking watch is probably one of the only watches that can be fully managed by someone who has a vision impairment. It has 4 buttons around it, and using those 4 buttons you can and it talks you through how to make the changes in time or alarm or date. All of our other talking watches, you need a sighted person to get at these little recessed buttons in order to activate those menus.
then Jean, I don't know if you want to open up the chat.
Sure. We had one suggestion in the chat about plugging adapter or your charging cords into your electronic devices. And that was a good suggestion about putting a tactile bump on the upside of the piece. And that was very helpful to Becky, who provided that idea. And that way she doesn't feel like she's forcing it in upside down. So at least you're getting it in the right direction in order to get it started. I know one of our video magnifier manufacturers has a similar symbol on their charging cables, and that is very helpful. Okay, then we had a question about if there's something, is there something on the Merlin Mini that helps hold a book open, like a bar or something to keep the book flat? I am unfamiliar with this type of product, looking to help my dad. And Greg, do you want me to take that one, or do you want to?
We can maybe kind of tag team that one if you don't mind.
Sure. I think one of the things to get to hold a book open on the tray of any video magnifier is a piece of clear plexiglass. And through a big box store like Menards or Home Depot, you can have it cut to size. And you use that over the book. It keeps the book flat. It does not distort the image. And in fact, it sometimes helps the image because it eliminates that crack that the book has naturally. It kind of flattens that out a little bit for you. Another one that you probably already have at home is a ruler. And so if you just take a ruler and place that on the book, at least a 12-inch ruler, so it goes edge to edge. Flip it over so you're not distracted by the numbers and the lines and all of that. Get it in a contrasting color like black, and then just pull it down the page. And that's also another way to keep those books open a little bit better. Oh, somebody told us about the plexiglass. That was Amy. Thank you, Amy. All righty, and Jeannie, I see you have your hand up, so go ahead and ask your question.
Space.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. I did have a question about the card holders. Is it round, or does it sit on a table, or what kind of, you said you had two different kind of holders to hold cards.
Yeah. So the one that we keep in stock is going to be one that's going to lay flat on a table, and we'll just have the cards standing completely upright. I do know that there is another one that kind of will have that more classic arched fan placement that you would hold in your hand as well. But both could be ordered as well. So.
Space.
I also enjoyed the explaining about the fishing knot. I normally, when I put my fishing knots, I just normally didn't look at it anyways and wrapped it around my finger and then pulled it through. But the one fun thing about fishing is I used to use a bobber when I had vision. Now that I don't have any vision, I use my big toe and I wrap the line around my big toe, and I know when they're biting.
Very good tip, Jeannie.
Yeah, that is a really good one.
Okay, any other questions?
If there are no more questions for us, I do have a question to be prompt for our audience. We wanted you to give us a chance or feedback about maybe what your favorite products that we currently have in the store are, or are there products that you'd like us to carry in the Sharper Vision store that we don't, that you're aware of? And yeah, if anybody has any input, that would be helpful.
This is Jeannie. I was wondering, is there any way that we could get like dots that would mark like the play button on our phone or something? Is there something that wouldn't fall off easy?
Jeannie, are you talking about a smartphone or a cordless phone, or?
Space.
A smartphone.
Okay.
I guess the only thing that I know of that'd be pretty smooth would be ones that are initially kind of used for keyboards. I don't know if you have any other helpful suggestions for that, Jean?
Yeah, I would have said the small nubbins for keyboards
Yeah.
that we do carry. There also is a couple places that make overlays specific for smartphones, but you do have to be careful about that because smartphones are ever-changing screens. So it becomes kind of that balance of they're okay to use while you're learning where something's located, but it's probably not something that you would want to depend on. Greg, we did have a question in the chat room about not having a product, but could you please give the address of the store and maybe the hours as well and a phone number?
Yeah. So the address would be 754 Williamson Street, Madison, Wisconsin. I'm drawing a blank on the zip right now.
53703.
Thank you. Our hours of operation are 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. Our main line is 255-1166, area code 608.
And for those of you who would prefer an 800 number, look at my bulletin board. It's 800-783-5213. I'm going to quickly put up a slide that has Greg's contact information so that if you want to contact him directly, and for those of you who asked questions that we didn't answer specifically to your needs, Greg will reach out to you, but you are also welcome to contact Greg directly. Greg, do you want to give them your email and office phone?
Yeah, so my email would just be gschmidt, spelled SCHMIDT, at wcblind.org. My direct phone line would be 608-237-8105. And feel free to give me a call whenever. If I am busy, just leave a voicemail and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
So Greg has been with us a short period of time, just since, was it June or
June.
July?
June, yeah.
And so he's also started to implement some changes in the store and is very interested in finding out about products. And so always share that with us. We can't guarantee that we will get them in, but at least we can look at them and evaluate them to see if they might be something that we have people asking for. So it's really hard to know what people are looking for if we don't hear from you. Let us know what's going on in your world so that we can see if it fits into what we're doing here at the council. And there's never a product that is
Thank you so very
a
much.
product or anything like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks, Jeannie. My thanks to Greg and my many colleagues for participating in the production of this webinar. It is pretty amazing when you think you're going to show a few products, how many people it takes to actually participate so that they can be shown. And thanks to all of you for spending an hour with us of your time. And if you have questions, feel free to contact us at Greg's number directly or at our just general council phone number, and we'll get back to you. If you'd like to follow the council, please go to our webpage at wcblind.org and sign in for our weekly e-newsletters. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Bye now.
Thank you, everyone.